Welcome to Decoding Our Lives, a place to ask questions, gain understanding, and find the missing pieces of your life. It's time to open your mind and discover the world from a new place and a whole new perspective. Now here are your hosts, the Shaman Lady, Kathy Silver, and the Reverend Rob Lee. Kathy, what's happening? How are you?
Well, we got some nice weather finally. We got a little break from the rain here. This is supposed to be our nice, low humidity, a lot of sunshine kind of winter, and it's kind of been interesting. And we had some really cold weather from Canada. So how are you doing?
Doing good, doing good. A little further north, so it got a little colder. We actually had ice on the car the other day.
Oh, wow.
We're supposed to be seeing some more 30s again this coming weekend, but we'll see what happens. So for Florida, that's freaking cold, That's freaking cold.
It's interesting because hypothalamus resets itself. So even 70, and people laugh, 70 begins to feel chilly. But if you're used to 90 and 100 degrees humidity, then it drops. But compared to the rest of the country, we're okay.
Absolutely, absolutely. Hey, Kathy, you set us up a really cool interview today. I'm looking forward to talking to this young lady, Lorene Davies. Lorene's passion for health, wellness, spirituality, and high-frequency living sparked in her mid-teens as a young mother, still seeking solutions to her own health challenges. Lorene quickly learned that allopathic medicine and normal lifestyle were incapable of supporting her health and that of her family. Seeking the keys for vibrant living has kept Lorene on the path. Searching for answers has kept Lorene on the cutting edge of health, wellness, personal development, energy healing, and intuitive modalities for over 30 years. Lorene's life journey has woven a pathway through studies and integration of holistic nutrition, raw living foods, detoxification, and cleansing, personal development, intuitive and energy healing modalities, deep research and studies into the world of plant medicines, extracts, essential oils, herbs, and mineral complexes. Man, she's written some books here. Author of Nature's Pharmacy, and that's Pharmacy, and we'll put all this down in the description. Editions 1 through 5, Nature's Pharmacy Benefits book, ebooks, e-courses for high vibe and divine feminine, soulful living. Lorene continues to be a voracious seeker of the truth. That's really cool. So I'm really anxious to talk to this young lady and see what's going on. And you ready for us to bring her in?
Yeah, without further ado, let's bring her in.
Let's bring her in. All right. Lorene, good to meet. Is it Lorene or Lorraine? I have an Aunt Lorene, but we're deep south. So that's Lorene.
It's actually Lorene.
Lorene, okay, there we go. So Lorene, good to meet you. We were just reading our bio. You have been busy. You're doing a lot of stuff, and I love the play on words with pharmacy, F-A-R-M, because there's a lot going on there in today's world and things that are happening. So without further ado, Kathy, you want to start this off? You know this young lady, or you've been following her.
I have.
And
So I met her through really a friend, and was introduced and went ahead and ordered some of the minerals. But I think the biggest thing is all Americans at some level struggle. I was in Publix the other day, and I was looking for Italian tomato paste in a tube because it has less things than the American. And the man who was talking, I said, yes, and even when I eat the Italian pasta, my joints don't hurt. But if I eat the American pasta, my joints hurt. And he said, oh, I just take such and such for that. And it was some pharmaceutical. And I said, no, it's your body telling you shouldn't eat it to begin with. That there's something that your body isn't recognizing, whether it's genetically modified, whether it's the chemicals that's processed, the pesticides, but it just kind of went over his head. Yeah. And so I think this is why it's so important to bring this awareness to the listeners of your body is trying to send you messages and tell you things. And you have, really taken this on as, I'm going to say, a soul mission. And maybe you can tell us a little bit deeper about your story. The listeners can relate to it. And then you can tell us why from your perspective, how we got in this position, maybe.
Sure. Well, if you'll guide me, just by way of my background, I literally started looking for answers when I was in high school. And I started seeing an herbalist, and at the time she got me started on herbs and taught me about muscle testing and whatnot. So that's where I got my start, because I was looking for answers. I just felt really strongly that there was my own stamina, my own, I'll just say stamina was not what it could or should be. So I started looking for answers then. And then as I started having children, I had 5 children ultimately, but as I started having my children, as they got earaches and sore throats and whatnot, I realized this is not going to cut it. This is not going to do. This is not taking care of them in the way. And I won't go into all the stories how I knew that, but I was real clear that that was not going to really support us in the way that we needed to be supported. And then, so it kind of sent me on my own trajectory to find answers for my children. And then after I had my 3rd child, I was a mess. And I guess at this point, I've learned enough about myself to know that I'm in some ways the canary in the coal mine with different issues. And even now I've got oral health issues that are just massive. And through the journey of learning about what's going on, finally finding answers that shocked me, I just began to understand and learn from working with a health professional 1.5 years ago what was really truly at the root cause of the oral health issues. So all this is to say that what we'll call the narrative, which we use that word a lot these days, but what most of us have come to accept as normal and is really not in our best interest. And so I've had to go looking for my own answers. And it mostly is rooted in the quality of foods. So quality of foods and how we're nourishing ourselves mentally, physically, spiritually, and emotionally. So
where do you feel that food and your spirituality, where do you feel they cross paths? Explain.
I don't actually feel like they cross paths. I feel like they're just innately joined.
Okay.
So I feel like it's when we separate, or when we, how do I term this? That's a good question. I've never thought of it in that way, but I think our spirituality is innate. It's innate within us. It's who we are. We're spiritual beings having a human experience. And so there have been many, many ways in which I believe that our culture has created a separation or tried to separate us from our innate intelligence, our own spiritual wisdom and spiritual depth. And that comes from foods that are not truly nourishing, that fill our belly but don't really feed us and nourish us. It comes from alcohol, which are called spirits for a reason, and because it actually removes ourselves from ourselves. And I like a good martini now and then, but not on the
daily.
Regular.
Yeah,
it's an exception. It's once or twice a year, maybe. So to answer your question, I guess I look at it from a different worldview, which is I feel like that by our own, I feel like they've tried to separate us, and they being the powers that be who are benefit from us being separated from our own soul, our own innate wisdom.
Okay. Trying to turn us into sheep to just follow along with to
get along and pay our taxes and buy the pharmaceuticals, which are that's a whole other facet that I feel like separates us from ourselves, the pharmaceuticals.
Okay. So let me ask you this, in your digging and discovery and things like that, what was the most shocking thing that you think you found? I know you found a lot, and there's a lot of them, but what was the one that like shook you to the core when you were checking out our food and all of this? Do you remember that one thing that was like, holy crap?
Yeah, there's been a lot of those actually.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, thank you for asking again, because I would say what really has rocked me to my core is to realize the depth to which we have been deceived in this world. That we oftentimes, we're so misled on so many levels, and the government does not have our best interests at heart. Pharmaceutical companies do not have our best interests at heart. The medical profession is bought and paid for by the pharmaceuticals. So if we kind of look around at all the facets that surround us, within each of those facets, for me, there was a holy, oh my gosh moment in every single one of those. And I guess the biggest one was realizing it's by design, and we have been deceived by design, and that's so disturbing on so many levels. And we, the last 2 years, have lived more of that, and it's we've lived a lot the last 2 years. A lot of deceit, and a lot of misinformation that is not truly in our best interests.
Okay.
Yeah, I would agree with that, but I would also say that it's taken this to really, I'm going to say, shake the tree, so that we are coming to a new awareness, and we're able to see the lies and the propaganda and the deceit, which we've never been able to see before. But, you know, certainly the large corporations, the pharmaceutical companies, the bought and paid for, I'm going to say, corrupt politicians.
Yeah.
And it's all about, shall we say, the top 1%.
Yeah.
And us really succumbing to their wishes. This is my, of course, opinion and belief.
Yeah.
But in order to system, we have to see that it's broken. But at the same time, that's why we need people that are advocating like you. That's why we started Decoding Our Lives, to bring this awareness, because as we know, mainstream media is bought and paid for essentially by Pfizer. And ironically, I went to work for them in 1979. Didn't long them, but at that time I thought I was helping people. I think mid 80s is where it really took a different turn, and I bowed out then. From what I said was, I think that you had said something about the last 2 years. And I said, I thought the deceit and the lies and the propaganda were more evident than ever before from what, there's a premeditated, I'm going to say, agenda. And, but in order for us to change the system, we have to be aware of it. And this is one of the things that Decoding Our Lives is supposed to do, is to bring an awareness to people, not only about where we are, where we're going through, but also to help them with answers that are truly helpful in their own lives. And that's why I always like people to tell their story, because there's people who can relate because they have the same story, but they don't have the same answers that you've been able to find.
Sure. Yeah. So I would say that my own story, well, I talked about the genesis of that earlier, but where it kind of began to focus in and take its own path, I guess we would say, would be in, what year was it? That was 2009. 2009, I had a really bad business breakup. And I had been in business and working in the genre I was working in since 1995, and I'd been extremely successful. Was making more in a month than most people were making in a year, and in the process, I found that there had been some deceit from the man that I was working with about the quality of products and the type of products that we were offering. And I was representing those and teaching and producing seminars and whatnot. And the moment I found out, it's like, I can't do this. I can't be here. I cannot do this. So long story short, a bad business breakup ensued, really bad, to the point of like threatening my life and that kind of thing, which is ridiculous. But that's the extent that it went to. At the same time, I had my mother and father living with me. I had built a suite onto my home for them. And my father was, he had a cancer expression. And I thought we were going to beat it with everything that we were doing with him. And long story short is, he passed away when I was in Denver teaching a class one weekday. And between his death and the bad business breakup, that kind of all reached a pinnacle of the trauma within the same time. I had some sleepless nights, and I, at the time, was wondering, how am I going to make ends meet? Like, how am I going to sustain myself? Because I was used to having this incredible income that I no longer was willing to, I wasn't going to sell my soul to keep that income going. And because I knew too much, I knew the truth by that point of, so I'm sleepless nights. And all I can say is there was a point at which I was asking myself the question, and I knew enough to say to myself, okay, the universe, I know the universe is not doing this to me, it's doing this for me. So if the universe is doing this for me, my father's just passed, and all that goes with that, the business breakup, like, how could this all be for me? What is here for me? What am I to learn? What am I to do? Who am I to be? What is all this about? Long story short, is there was a point at which I continued the conversation with myself, and then I asked, okay, so if I could do anything in the world, what would it be? What would I do? And what would I want to bring in? And I thought to myself, well, I've written the books about essential oils. I've worked with minerals for 20 something year. Well, at that point it wasn't 20, but anyway, for a long time. And so I would source and offer the finest in mineral supplementation, in essential oils, muds, and skincare. They were already a part of my life. They were already what I loved, and they had already made a profound difference for me in my own way. And there's stories with each of that I won't go into. And so, but that was the conclusion I came to, was I would bring it all together and I would offer that to the world. And I thought, okay, so what would I call this? If I was going to do this, what would I call this? And, I had all kinds of things floating through my mind. And then the name Mother Earth's Elements came in, and it came in, you have those moments, and I have chills right now all over. It came in with such a whoosh, and it was one of those moments where just my heart was so full, and I knew there was more than myself that was receiving that answer. And, or that was, anyway, so I just sat with that for a bit, or laid in bed with that for a bit. And I thought, I wonder if that's even available, motherearthselements.com. And so I got up and I went into my dining room where I had a PC that was open, got on GoDaddy, and it was available, and I bought it that moment. I still have the receipt for it. It was like, I think it was 3:11 in the morning of May 28th, 2009, if I remember right. And I bought it then. I knew that that was what the universe was bringing me to, because it was such a full body yes. And but I also knew that it may not be the time to bring it out. And long story short, with that, there was still more to go. And so MotherEarthsElements.com wasn't born until 2019. And that was when that became an expression. And so now I do offer the finest minerals that I've searched the ends of the earth for, as well as incredible organic Hungarian muds that are the distillation of 1,350 different botanicals and grasses that have been distilled and what's the word, decomposed in mineral-rich springs. So you can see the connection between the two, the mud and the minerals. And I have very clean skincare that I love, and soon to bring in essential oils that I've written reference books about and know so much about. So that is really what I have come to understand was, I guess, the summation of everything that I've experienced in my life, everything I've lived, has now kind of come to that focal point of creating an offering to bring to the world. So for me, as I look at the people I work with and those that I have consulted with over the years, I always ask them, what do you think your body is inviting you to when they have a health expression? And I've had plenty, and I'm still in the middle of some. So what am I being invited to? And what is the universe doing for you? Those have been guiding questions for me for years and years and years. And I hope that some people will take that to heart and bring that into their own life and ask those questions, because it truly can be life-changing.
Hey, what I'm going to do now here real quick, Kathy, I'm going to do something. I'm going to throw you off balance here, but I'm going to do something we don't normally do. And what I'm going to do is show, if y'all can see, I'm on MotherEarthsElements.com right now. Okay. And I noticed, you had talked about different muds and things like that. And you've got some featured products here. But when I clicked over to shop now, I want people to see this. Okay. Man, we've got everything from acne, to pain relief. So this is actually very cool. And then the nutritional support section, and they're all listed there. So I want to ask you a question in all of your things. So that's MotherEarthsElements.com. Go to the shop now. Here's all the lists. Check them out. I want to ask you if in this journey, okay, if you have, what did you find out about diabetes? What can we do? Is there certain things? I know it's like stop eating sugar. We know the basics, but I feel like there's more to it than that. And we don't have to be miserable just because we got diabetes. And I think you're the person that would have done the research to say, here's some ways to go. Do you have anything like that or knowledge on that?
Truly. Yeah, that was actually one of the issues that we were working with my father, type 2 diabetes. And so an interesting thing that I learned years ago was there's a book written by an endocrinologist from Southern California called the Schwarzbein Principle. She was an endocrinologist, and what she began to see was that she said that all the people who came to her who were diabetic and whatnot, she began to realize that all of them were the people, they had scars down the middle of their chest, and they had been they've been impeccable with following the dietitians that had recommended that a particular diet from the American Heart Association, and all of them were coming to her with diabetes. And she's like, what is going on? Anyway, long story short is that she found that they needed healthy fats in their diet. And she talked about using rich cream, and I would say make sure that's grass-fed and high quality cream. This is not just your normal pasteurized cream, raw milk preferred, whatnot, and healthy fatty butters. And there's some great ones. Kerrygold is not one of the great ones these days. Most people have held Kerrygold as a standard. It's not. Anyway, so yes, for diabetes, I would say looking up the Schwarzbein principle, and she has a cookbook also. We were using those recipes with my father, but it was more than just diabetes for him. It was cancer that took him. And so as far as diabetes, I would say fulvic and humic mineral supplementation would make a profound difference, as well as dietary changes, which you already spoke to some, which is definitely cutting back on sugars. Sodas, I would eliminate completely. If you're going to have sugar, at least don't drink it,
Right.
because that's mainlining it, you know. And then, so minerals, adding in healthy, good quality fats, eating foods that are whole foods as opposed to processed foods, and as much as possible, eliminating grains. For people don't realize that bread and grains and grain products literally turn to sugar as faster than sugar itself. I mean, they can be really debilitating. So there's some really great, what do we call it, substitutions, or some really great, I don't even want to use the word substitutions, because I really feel like that for most of us, the grains like Kathy referred to, she can eat the Italian version of pasta, but not the US made version. I think for most of us, we don't know enough to distinguish the difference. So just eliminating grains altogether. And there are some really great ways to do that. And I've seen, there's a documentary, I think it's called Raw for 30 Days, where they put people on raw food diets, literally took them, leveled out their blood sugars, and literally took them from full-blown expression of diabetes to huge healing within 30 days. That's the power of food. And there's much more.
And what is a raw? You talking about like carrots from the ground? Everything's just nothing that's cooked.
Yes, but it's more than that.
Okay.
So yes, and so the raw food diet can be delicious and enjoyable, and it doesn't mean that people have. For many people, that leap is so extreme that going raw for 30 days is just not ever going to happen. But there are ways you can implement and incorporate some of the wisdom that he shares in that. So I would suggest looking up Raw for 30 Days. It's a documentary. I think you can find it on YouTube now. But there's also a website, I believe, if it's still up. It's been a few years since I've checked it out.
Okay.
But there are many things that can be implemented. So the ground floor of that is foods, what you're eating and how you're eating. And as I mentioned, Schwarzbein principle, Raw for 30 Days, those are great sources of inspiration and guidance. And then adding in minerals can make a profound difference, because we're all depleted of minerals. It doesn't matter who we are. If you're raised in this culture, you're mineral depleted.
Okay.
And I would like to add one other thing that bookends into what you're saying from what I do, is called biological decoding. And biological decoding looks at all unresolved emotion, conflicts, and traumas as the trick.
Absolutely.
So if we talk about diabetes is learning about love. Oftentimes we don't get love the way we need to receive it or to give it. But I really think it's more about self-love, because if we love ourselves and have, I'm going to say, healthy self-worth, then we are okay. So we have to sort of accept ourselves and love ourselves for who we are. But that, if you even think about, there's a slang term that says, give me some sugar, which means love. And that diabetes is all about that.
100%. Yeah, that's so wise. I agree 100%.
So, but the other, caveat to that is we do not have foods, and I would going to even add water, that supports us in those things. So it's
Yeah.
not just one element. It's putting all the puzzle pieces together to
Mhm.
create something that truly supports our wellness.
Yes. And here's the key is that it can be done without it being a grind, and it can be done without it being um, horrific. You know, a lot of people, when we talk about raw for 30 days or any of the other things, it feels like a grind, but it can be pleasurable. It can be enjoyable. It can be, it does not have to be a grind at all.
Well, and it can also start in small steps.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You don't have to go from 0 to 100. You know, you can incorporate, you know, one meal every day or one meal once a week, and then add another one. You find some of your favorite ones, and you make, you know, make it once, eat twice, you know, that kind of thing. So you've got it in your refrigerator ready to go. But I think one of the biggest secrets is organic whole foods and nothing in the microwave. Microwave is just changes the molecular structure. Our bodies don't recognize it. It's mostly ultra processed foods. So that's another thing that I would add that people 100%. Aren't aware of.
Yeah, and people aren't aware of what a toll that actually takes on our body. So instead of our food being something that we heal with, it's giving our body something we have to deal with. And I talk about that all the time. Is like, you know, that'll change everything. What you're drinking, if you're putting your coffee in there to warm it, you're making it more of a toxic sludge than it already is, because coffee is not your friend, let me tell you.
Wait a minute now. Whoa.
I know, I'm treading on sacred ground there. I realize
that.
Oh
my God. Coffee. Yeah. Coffee saves lives. It has kept me and one of my very close friends, Bridget. Okay. It's kept us out of jail. I was a police officer and I got into some very bad habits with coffee. And I agree. Just the caffeine amount alone I was taking in, and where I finally woke up to how much I was actually drinking. One day, my youngest boy at that time, I was cleaning the house. He's like, "You want me to just keep in coffee?" And I'm like, "Yeah." So we got through the day, cleaning the whole house, doing the whole thing. 9 o'clock, I'm ready to go to bed. And he looked at me, he said, "Dad, do you know how much coffee you had to drink today?" And I'm like, "No." He said, "I made you 7 pots of coffee."
Oh my God.
What?
7 pots of coffee. And I was going to bed without it being a problem. And I'm like, there's no way.
Wow.
And so the next day I was like, all right, I'm going to quit coffee. You talked about that whole withdrawal. No. And my youngest son's mother, we met over coffee. She worked at 7-Eleven. I was working the night shift. I like my coffee strong. She'd let the pot get down to there, pour it up, hang a sign over it. Rob's coffee, don't touch. And I would literally be, when I wasn't drinking coffee, I was drinking Mountain Dew. And
no.
Yeah.
Oh no.
Yeah, double fisting it. So there was no wonder why at 40 I'm having a freaking brain bleed, just over that alone. And I smoked. So when you say we're putting stuff in our bodies that our body now has to deal with, I watch these one of the things I think that's just murdering society are these energy drinks.
Yes.
And I'm watching people, even it's not an energy drink, but Gatorade. And I'm watching adults give their children these Gatorades because they think it's an alternative. And it's putting so much, they don't realize, Florida Boy was developed by the University of Florida. And it was there to replace stuff that you lost in athletics. So if your kid's not out there running the 40 in 8 seconds 5 times a day, you're putting stuff in there. Now his body's on overload. And I think we're wondering where all the ADHD is coming from, everything else. And I think this is all blending.
Yeah.
I just,
Yeah, I would agree 100%. And in fact, even for athletes, I've done many posts and many articles and many ebooks on, oh my God, please do not feed your children any kind of not only the energy drink, but Gatorade. And they think it's a healthy alternative. Vitamin water, no. Oh my gosh, no. Because I don't have all the breakdown of all the things that are negative, but I will say that on the flip side, fulvic minerals have been called the finest electrolyte known to man. And electrolyte replacement is typically what people are giving their children Gatorade for, to replace the electrolytes that they're burning off in sports or whatever else. Okay, take some fulvic minerals, which taste like water. I mean, they have no flavor. I call them liquid gold because they're golden in color. They look like apple juice, but they have no flavor. Put those in water, add some fresh lime juice or lemon juice or whatever the case may be, a little bit of maple syrup, maybe if you have to sweeten it, but give them that, which actually will truly nourish and will be assimilated by their body, will truly heal them rather than giving them something they have to deal with. And sports drinks are not your friends. Sports drinks are not doing your children any good. Energy drinks are even worse. And I personally know of people who were so addicted to them and have passed away in their 20s and 30s, and attributed to the energy drinks. And
they're so acidic, your body can't even recover. The other thing is make sure that they use organic, real maple syrup and not Aunt Jemima, the crap.
Corn syrup. Yeah, no.
Oh, there's no Aunt Jemima anymore. What's it called now? I forget. They've totally changed the name, and it looks like something generic because, God forbid, we have Aunt Jemima. You know,
I don't know what it's called now, but
it's some off the wall name. You won't recognize it, and you'll think it's something generic, but it's Aunt Jemima.
Yeah, well, obviously something that comes from the trees. The real stuff, usually from Canada or Maine or Vermont or whatever, not the crap.
Right.
I actually would suggest coconut sugar, which is not sweet, but it also carries some good stuff too. So, or the only sweetener I use these days is date syrup. And so I think date syrup is a great sweetener. It has a richness to it, and so it's really nice. I make homemade lemonade when summer, once or twice a summer, I'll make some homemade lemonade, and I literally squeeze the lemons, add the maple syrup, add the date syrup, and then filtered and distilled water. I distill my water myself, and so that's how I make my lemonade.
How do you distill water?
I have a countertop distillation unit.
Oh, okay.
And so I use that. It'll do. So I've got this 24-ounce jar here that I'm drinking right now. I literally, it's filtered, then it's distilled, and then I put it in the sunlight, like people do sun tea.
Right.
I literally have it lined up in the window that gets the most sun during the day to charge it with the sunlight. And then there's a plate that, anyway, it's a whole thing. It's a whole process that I do, but it does make a difference if you can't get to a deep earth, fresh spring, which right now I can't. So
what's a tip to help someone start drinking water? That sounds so stupid, but like me, I don't remember the last glass of water. Well, I had water when I took my pills this morning, about that much. Okay. Other than that, it's diet sodas, it's unsweet tea. I will drink unsweet tea. But it's like, to drink water, it's a major issue for me to say, no, don't go have something here. Go drink water.
And I don't think you're very unusual with that. I hear that a lot from people. And I actually think it's because, number one, the quality of water. So one of the keys is find a quality of water that you like. And I would not buy single-use water, bottles of water. I do not suggest that at all. But then you can add the minerals. Believe it or not, for most people, they'll start craving. So if they add in the fulvic minerals, they'll crave that. Their body will crave it. So adding in the fulvic minerals will make a difference. And
it's
then adding,
fulvic, how do you spell that? Or is it phobic? Or like,
that's a good question. No, it's fulvic. And I know it's a little bit of a weird word. It's F as in Frank, U as in uncle, L as in Lorene, V as in Victor, I as in India, C as in cat. So it's fulvic. Yeah.
Fulvic mineral powder. Okay.
And not powder. Get
Don't
the liquid.
do powder.
No.
Okay.
Nope, you're gonna get the fulvic minerals. It's a 32-ounce bottle from MotherEarthElements.com.
There we
And
go. All
you
right.
add an ounce to whatever water you're drinking. I would suggest getting distilled water. I actually think that's the best for most of us.
Okay.
There's so much toxicity in the waters that are out there. I wouldn't use Dasani. I wouldn't use Aquafina. Any of those name brand waters that most people recognize, wouldn't touch them.
We started drinking this stuff that was my wife bought it in gallons. It's alkaline. It's add alkalinity into it.
I'm gonna inject two things. Number one, Dasani has potassium bromide in it, which is cancer causing. And the other alternative might be a Kangen water machine, which is what I've had since 2009. And it takes just about everything out of the water, but leaves the minerals. And then you can even add on top of that, because the ones that are missing. So I would just inject that at this point.
Okay. And so is that on the website? What I'm looking at here, I'll share it again. I want people to see it. Because I know I'm, like you said, I'm not alone in this. Let me see.
Click on the minerals tab.
Okay.
If you click on the minerals.
All right, here we go. Is this what I'm looking for? The fulvic gold mineral?
Yes.
Okay.
And you can just take, so I would add an ounce to this glass of water, or this 24-ounce bottle of water, an ounce or ounce and a half, and drink that. And that you'll be surprised at what a difference that'll make in your water.
Okay. And so when you do that, are you doing that every time you have water, or just 24 ounces of that a day and then go back to good, clean water?
Good question. So in the beginning, when I started using the fulvic and humic minerals, I was doing hot yoga every day, Bikram yoga every day. And so I would put it, because I was sweating so much, and I also knew from years of not having as good of quality of minerals. So I've been into minerals for 20 something years. However, the fulvic and humic qualities add an entirely new dimension that I didn't have before. So to answer your question, I would add minerals to every jar of water that I drank throughout the day. And I did that for quite some time, until intuitively I began to feel that I was reaching a point of saturation. And so then it would just simply be, I would put it in my water in the morning, and then in the evening I would take my humic minerals, because that's doing the detoxification work while I'm sleeping. And so that became my routine. So, and now I just do a shot in the morning and a shot in the evening. But for most people, they're so incredibly depleted that they would do well to probably add it to all the water they're drinking. And for most people, that would make the water more palatable, and their body would actually start craving it. There's a reason why you're not drawn to water, and that's not by nature. But there's a reason why you're not drawn to it. It's because it's so toxic.
Right, I agree. Yep.
What do you mean, though? Because the water's so toxic?
Yes.
Yeah, and what we're getting? Yeah. Well, and years ago, Walter Cronkite said Melbourne, Florida had the highest carcinogen rate in the in the United States.
Wow.
Now I don't know if they've changed that or whatnot, but yeah, we were all like, okay, first time Melbourne gets mentioned on CBS Evening News, and it's we got the worst cancer causing water in the world. So so
Flint, Michigan's giving you a run for your money at some point.
Yeah, so I guess Michigan's got that now. Carry that banner, please, so we don't have it. But we noticed, like, we just moved, and my youngest boy, well, not my youngest boy, my middle one, he's 35 years old. And when we moved from Melbourne water to cocoa water, the taste of the water changed dramatically.
Yes.
And it actually took us a while. We didn't like it. So therefore, we went back into drinking everything that tasted good.
Yes, sure. And you're not alone. I think that's most people, most of the people in our culture, it's the same thing. And there's a reason why that the water is distasteful. There's a reason.
And a reason why your body doesn't crave it, because on some level it knows it's not good. And the other thing is the size of the water molecules is oftentimes too big to get into your cellular structure. So it's not even nourishing your cells at that level, and it's not carrying away the toxins and waste either. So
yeah, it's not hydrating. Yeah.
And when you buy spring water, it's another problem. They can label it spring water if 90% of it is from the municipal source and 10% is from a spring. So that's another totally messed up marketing thing, is why that's even allowed. I don't know.
Big deception. Yes, a huge deception.
Right. Yeah. But there, again, and I think Aquafina was from a Michigan municipal water source. Yeah. If I remember correctly. I've been into water for a long time. Even back in Iowa, when my ex-husband was in medical school, I insisted on having a reverse osmosis. That was the only thing available at the time, but all of the chemicals from the farmlands were going into the Des Moines River, and that was the water source. And I said, I don't want to hear in 20 years how, oh, we're sorry, the chemical caused a birth defect in your child. And so water is so important. We're, as you know, 90%, well, we're born 90 water. And then over the years, we kind of get dehydrated out, but we're still % or more water, and we don't have good water sources.
And that's by design. And as I learned that, because when you, Rob, if you actually had fresh spring water from a deep your earth spring.
I did at one point when I lived in Northwest Florida, and whenever we would come to Melbourne to bring my children, it was like going to Mexico. We had to bottle our own water and bring it with us, because all the kids, we would get ill, the runs, everything else. And it was from Manatee Springs. It was a deep tap, natural well in my yard. And it was so cold and so good.
Amazing.
We didn't have a problem drinking water then. We actually enjoyed it. You know, but now there's
your answer. There's your answer right there.
Okay.
Rob.
Yeah. All right, that makes sense. So do you think too that, and I'm going to ask you both this, that especially somebody like my size, things like that, got other issues with eating, you know, that I readily admit, but it's a dopamine factor as well of water gives you no reward for taste. That we've become a society where, no, I don't want water, I have to feed my sugar craving.
I need a hit.
Yeah. Do you feel that's going on around the world, that we're literally
it's the other white powder?
Yeah, and our kids are like, you know, I don't want to drink water. Give me something else. So, y'all feel that's actually going on? Is it an addiction thing? Is that
by design?
Okay, when you say that, what do you mean by
that? You want to start? You want to start with that, Lorene?
So we could go really deep down the rabbit hole, but I'll just say that it is not in the best interest of the pharmaceutical companies and the powers that be. It's not in their best interest for us to be healthy, happy, and whole. It's in their best interest for us to be needy, to be depleted, and to be craving things. And so naturally, they're going to give us that. And they're going to create situations where we're craving the bell, we're craving the hit from Mountain Dew or whatever, the coffee. And there are healthier and safer alternatives to all those things. Again, this doesn't have to be a grind or a drag, but there are ways that we can nourish ourselves while we're actually feeding ourselves. And so with water, and there's alternatives to sodas. When I was trying to get my kids off sodas years ago, I would buy sparkling water and add fruit juice. And this is not ideal, certainly, but it was way better than Pepsi and Coke. And, you know, so we kind of took our incremental steps to get off sodas. And we did that until my son went to work for Pepsi and was driving for Pepsi. thought it was the most ironic thing that my own son went to work for the evil empire, is what I used to call them. But there are ways to replace and to begin to systematically wean ourselves off of the things that have got us so addicted.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I would even say a slice of lemon, which is also creates alkalinity, because that's another part of the problem with all sorts of diseases cannot exist in an alkaline environment. Cancer needs an acidic place. And when you were drinking all that Mountain Dew, your body wasn't even able to recover to its normal state. So it also starts drawing minerals from your bones and your teeth and all sorts of places to keep that blood in a state of balance.
Okay,
So,
but the question was, when we say by design, okay, I don't want to dance around it. If we're going to say it, I want to hit it. Our people are going to be like, you know, they hinted at stuff. No.
All right.
Are we talking about like the big sugar companies, everybody trying to get us off of water? Or are we in a situation where we honestly don't have enough pure water sources, so we're looking for alternative?
No,
I would say no. And the other thing, I think what you pointed out, it's a marketing thing. They're not marketing us clean water. And we also have in all the municipal systems, all the crap fluoride, which calcifies our pineal gland. And then we lose our intuition and that gut feeling. And also the subliminal advertising of every commercial on television is but a hypnosis at some level. Yes. So I never bought pop, never in my household, never. Okay, maybe on New Year's. Just like you had your martini, right? That's it. That's the only time it came into the house. And my kids did not grow up that way. I fed apple juice, orange juice. You could put a lime or lemon in water, which if you don't like the taste, but if it's good water, your body will actually crave it.
Yeah. So again, going back, Rob, circling back around to specifically answer your question, it is by design that the foods, the drinks, and the waters that we now are being marketed to, it's by design that those are not truly nourishing us, that they're not really good for us, because it slowly but surely leads us down the pathway to greater and more illness. And who does that serve? I can
buy that.
It's a great annuity plan.
Pardon?
A great annuity plan for big pharma.
Yeah.
Well, and I can buy that, because I do also remember, I remember reading an article, I think it was Newsweek or whatnot, but it was a legitimate article, that one of the things they're now accusing of the new diabetes, you know, we talk about a pandemic, diabetes is the true pandemic, you know, that we should be looking at, but was caused by the no fat craze of the 90s.
Right. Because
they swapped all the fats for sugars. Yeah. So we were taught that it was okay to eat all this crap. Okay. Yeah. As long as you're eating no fat, you're able to go. In the meantime, we're taking in so many sugars. And I went through the exact same thing, that now we've bred a world of diabetics.
Yep.
And everybody thought they were doing healthy.
Okay, so I got to add something. Number one, I tried one of those and said, no way, this is terrible. Never bought another one again. I ate eggs. I ate all that stuff because I didn't believe it. So that's number one. We have to use our own intuition. And number two, there's a predisposition to that, because not everybody who eats that way ends up with diabetes. Some people end up with Parkinson's, some people with cancer, some people with heart disease. So it depends upon, I'm going to say, the predisposition of that. All right, Lorene, you take it away now.
Yeah, and not only that, the key here is that it leads to something.
Right.
That's the key. That really is the bottom line, that whether it's diabetes or Parkinson's or whatever you just mentioned, it is depleting and deteriorating our health. And again, leading us further away from ourselves and our own soul and our own spirit and our own connectivity. Because when we feel, there was a quote from Aristotle, I think, who said, oh gosh, I wish I had the quote with me. I don't have it. It's in the front of my book. It's a quote that I said, when health is absent, art is not expressed. All the beautiful cultural things are not able to be, creative expressions are not able to be expressed, because we all know how it is to be sick. When you're sick, all you want to do is get well and recover. All of us on some level our health has been compromised by our culture, by design. And so it's a swim upstream to reclaim our health, but it's definitely worth it. And it can be overwhelming, but the key, just like Catherine just said, the key is to tune in intuitively and to follow the yellow brick road that we're led on. And it's not the same answer for each one of us. There are similarities, but it's not always the same. There are definitely, I would call, pillars that matter for each of us, whether it's what we eat and how we eat. However, that can vary for each of us. Some of us need more vegetables, some of us need more protein,
Right.
But those pillars are still the same. There's just a variety within them, if that makes sense.
Oh, it makes total sense. It makes total sense. And I think the other thing too, and I know we're winding down on time here, one of the other things I find just totally ironic about this, okay, is how now all of a sudden we've swapped the corner where it is so expensive to eat healthy, organically, things like that a lot of people can't afford to eat organic foods healthy because they're feeding a family 4 on $10 an hour. And, so this can finger off into so many other things, but I do think it's a form of control.
Truly. Again, it's
by design.
By design. Totally
Okay.
by design.
Yeah. But the other thing is, I would say, is get a couple pots, grow some tomatoes, grow some lettuce. There's little grow lights. Do what you can, but a packet of seeds is not that expensive. And in most places, tomatoes will grow. A cucumber plant will grow.
That's funny. I got to tell you, we were fishing one time in a boat up next to a seawall of a residence. And I waved at the guy and he came out. I'm like, where did you get a lot of your fill for these sandbags and stuff you put in? He said, it's compost, because these big, beautiful tomatoes were growing right out of this sea bag seawall. And he's like, yeah, he said, we eat a lot of tomatoes. And I'm like, oh, I'm cutting them. The guy with me is like, are you kidding me? Knowing where they came from? I'm like,
that's the best kind of
where they're at now.
now.
I didn't ask him to bend over and squat me out a couple of seeds to take home, but people look at things so stupidly and so emotionally. And I keep going back to Lorene. I one of the things that you said, I firmly believe we're spiritual beings having a human experience. Okay. And some of this is one of the reasons we're here is to try to learn to break some of that control and stop listening. Okay. There are things that are going on in our world that we need our spiritual mind for. Even when we disagree with people, we shouldn't be hurting them, because that's not going to change anybody's opinion.
Yeah.
So, Lorene, anything you wanted to say before we call this baby quits?
5 tips. Can she give us like 5, her biggest, I'm going to say biggest gold, your 5 tips that people could use?
Start with diet soda.
Oh, okay. Biggest tip for what? What's the focus?
True health and wellness, in your opinion.
Yeah, if you could tell people 5 things, if we said, I got a spot for you for 30 seconds on CNN News, that you're going to be highlighted with 5 tips for people to better their health, what would they be?
I would say number 1, eat organic and only organic. And there are plenty of ways to eat organic junk food. Don't go there. Eat healthy whole foods. That's number 1. Number 2, healthy whole fats. Let go of all the seed oils and add in healthy whole fats. That is grass-fed butter. That is organic coconut oil and coconut butter. That is ghee. So healthy whole fats. So organic foods, healthy whole fats. And 3, then some form of movement every day, whatever it might be.
Okay.
So getting your body moving in some way that's fun, even just dancing to a 3-minute song can make a difference. So movement. And then I would add in fulvic and humic minerals for sure. So I'll make that 4 and 5. Fulvic minerals are known as the finest electrolyte known to man. They are a nutritional maximizer. They will make everything that you eat and drink more efficient and effective in your body, whether it's meds or whether it's just the organic foods you're eating, the water you're drinking. It will deliver it into the cell and it will remove the toxins from the cells. Humic comes back in on the back end and is a binder that literally ushers those toxins out of the body. And so that's why they go hand in hand, humic and fulvic both. Okay. So that is literally what I live and what I teach.
Awesome. Thank you so much today.
Yeah, my pleasure.
Do you have anything that you want to add? I mean, I would love to have you on again sometime because
you're
an encyclopedia of information, and this is the information that's so important for people to hear because we're in this crisis situation. We need to get this information out, and so people can start making changes in their lives right now.
Absolutely. Everybody, this has been Lorene Davies, MotherEarthsElements.com. MotherEarthsElements.com. You've seen it. Go back, look at the video. You'll see the site right there. I took you to it a couple of different times. Check out her books. Where can people find your books?
Oh, actually, they've all sold out and they're out of print. I'm rewriting them. So, wow. Yeah. Okay.
Maybe they could get them used someplace until the new ones come out.
Possibly. Possibly, but I don't know.
All right. So we'll just have to look for it and keep it. But Mother Earth's Elements, and is that how you also that people have been seeing as you have been able to see it as it's scrolling by? You've got your Facebook page. I know you've got Instagram. You've got what was the other one here? Hold on. I've got them all right here. Instagram. Yeah, Instagram. So check you out there. Is that where, if somebody's got a question for you, Facebook, the website, where do you want them to go to ask questions?
They can go any of those places, or they can email me, Lorene at MotherEarthsElements.com, and I answer.
Perfect. Perfect. Lorene, I'm going to put you in the waiting room. Thank you. We'll be right back. Okay. And you have been completely awesome. Thank you.
I thoroughly enjoyed it.
Folks, that was Lorene Davies. Wow. That was really cool.
So that hit home, didn't it?
Yeah. No, I need all the help I can get. Cause like I said, I just got I think I screwed up my 12-hour fast, and he's like in a complete panic for me to get in, or whatnot. But well,
I'm gonna send you some stuff too. I'm gonna send you some stuff. So,
okay.
You can work through it on a different level. But yeah, you know what? It's only a message from you to you, and you don't have to have this condition anymore. It's time to say goodbye.
Exactly. So send me more banana bread, why don't you? Okay.
Did you tell the audience you ate somebody else's?
Yeah. You enabler, you. Anyways. All right. So with all that being said, what an awesome day. Lorene Davies, MotherEarthsElements.com. So make sure you check her out and do whatever. Kathy, you got anything you want to say? We wrap this up.
I'm just going to say to everybody, go spread your light. The world needs light, and we all hold it inside, and just go spread it.
Very good. Peace, love, and light. Goodbye, everybody.
Thank you. We'll see you next time.